Hey, Craig, let's get into some coffee talk.
Hey, I love it. I love doing some coffee talk.
Well, talk about what?
Dogs, daughters, whatever. It's coffee talk.
Coffee talk.
Coffee talk. Oh, do we boom?
Boom, boom, coffee
Boom.
talk. It's a
Boom.
coffee talk.
You're not going to believe this, but
I'm not.
somebody broke my coffee talk mug that is here at my house. It was now thrown in the trash. I have to order a new one from the Teespring.
I bet it was your wife.
Probably. Well, guess what? I already have another 3 or 4 at the office I can grab. I have the new ones. I have the red one. I think I'm going to get a yellow one. I want a yellow one. Bright and cheery.
So dude, I ordered the coffee talk, or no, just the insurance dude's blanket as a kind of a joke.
Yes, I did the same.
The funny thing is my wife obviously hated it.
Mm-hmm.
But my daughter loves it because it's so soft that she uses it all the time.
Yeah, my son has it on his, like, that's what he uses to sleep with. He's like, it's so soft. I'm like, it is. I kind of wanted it, but it's not going to be allowed in my room. So it is super comfortable. I mean, I was really, really surprised, but that's not what this is about.
No.
So on hump day, we had Brad Zood.
Ooh.
He was exuding an attitude.
The
Zoot
Zoot
dude attitude. Zoot
Right.
dude attitude. And I thought that it was remarkable that he has 8 kids. Like
Right.
that takes it up to the whole new level, because you said, I asked you the other day, going from 3 to 4, that big of a difference? And what was yours?
Yes. Well, it's
100%.
100%. It's like the seismograph.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least for me, because my kids are young and challenging, just like their dad.
Well, see,
Not young,
and at
but
home,
challenging.
I think it's really challenging to create a framework, right? You don't have a framework for like the day. It's tough to structure a day, especially with little kids. But
Yeah.
I think that you could run into the same kind of challenges in an office as you grow. If you don't have your processes and procedures really tightened up when you go from, say, 2 producers to 3 and 3 to 4, because it's a different game. It's a different game. I mean, I have
100%.
9 producers. And we all know that producers are very similar to little kids, right? So a lot of competing attitudes. Everybody's alpha. Everybody wants mine, right? And so managing that is tricky if you don't have rules in place.
Totally. And I think that's the difference when you start getting up to like 4 kids and stuff like that. You have to have routines. You have to do things like an assembly line. Like it does become, you can't just, 1 or 2 kids.
Can I have a sandwich?
You can, you can just go off on a whim. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can do whatever you want. But when you start getting up to the bigger numbers, and I think that's what Zood was saying, is that it's just very, like you have to have a process for everything.
Yeah.
When it's time to do baths, it's a process.
So you don't guess at it. Same thing every day. You got that process.
Yeah.
You got it down.
Yeah, not every day. I mean, that's the other thing with kids too. Is like the more that you have, like it's like food falls on the ground. Yeah, you can eat it. It's cool.
10-minute rule.
No rule.
No rule now. After 4 is no rule.
Yeah.
Love it.
But it is a process. I mean, same with at home, like we've always talked about, like, with having that business family and all that stuff in line. It's the same thing with being married, right? Like you have to make the date nights. Like you have to have a process to keep that running well. Because Craig, if that's not running well, how does everything else do?
The wheels all fall off. There's sparks flying, oil shooting out of the engine. I mean, that has to come first and foremost. Because if that doesn't, and it happens to me in waves too, where it's I'm balanced perfectly, then you start slipping towards a little bit more work, and all of a sudden you're way over here.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know why, why it isn't just said, hey, I noticed it's starting to get a little later. Could we just, that would be great. I'd love the warning, but it's not until we get way over on the other end and it's unbalanced. And then it's like, you never want to do this or never. It's like, yeah, I got here again, and then
I
you got
never
to,
balanced.
yeah, yeah,
Never. Not even close.
really. Why
Well,
not?
it's just because it's like, remember the old thing with the guy that spins the
Yeah. The plates on Letterman.
spins the plates on the
Yeah. You
sticks.
got 10
I
plates going.
feel like I'm spinning and then I have to grab the other pole and then I'm
Yeah.
constantly doing that, right?
Yeah. Well,
But those frameworks do help. Like the more I put stuff into a constant pattern,
hmm
the better it works.
hmm
But let's
yeah.
be honest, this year was a big change. Like, so, I mean, whatever was working before, we got thrown off, you know, and then now with kids having to be home and can't, like, we homeschool, so it's like there's that element, and then, um,
We Zoom
I,
school.
yeah, and a lot of so I empathize so much with my staff because there's some of them that have kids that are working from home with their kids because and it's just crazy. So it's like it sucks. Like it's a constant. So now it's a lot of you got to understand that people are in weird situations that's pushing their boundaries.
Mm.
So you
Shorter
can hear it on the
fuses.
phone when you talk to people. Yeah. So everybody, it's not just it's people on the phone, it's families and everything. Everything's getting pushed. So even if you had the greatest structure before, you're still like it's thrown out of whack. You know what I
Mm.
mean? You gotta pivot and create
I
new
think,
frameworks.
yeah, you have to be able to understand that the only constant is impermanence, right? Like nothing is
Totally.
permanent. It's
Yes.
fluid. The world is fluid. Things are going to happen. There's going to be some years where it doesn't throttle back and forth as much. This year was obviously a pretty significant throttle, maybe the biggest one that we'll ever see. Maybe not. Maybe
Maybe
maybe this is just a blip, and the next one is the aliens. Who knows what is going to happen? But
that's the
regardless,
only thing left.
yeah, I mean it is. They actually brought it up in the middle, but it got kind of lost in all the hustle bustle. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the systems in place, and I know we hammer this over and over and over again, then everything can fall apart when something unexpected happens, right? Imagine if you didn't have all of the telemarketers over here, the people that followed a certain script and ran quotes a certain way. If all of that assembly line wasn't set up that way, what would have happened when they had to go home because California shut down? You're in trouble, right?
Right.
They went home and you didn't miss a beat. That actually was for us. Everybody went home. We had one of our biggest months, and I stopped looking so much at their numbers. I knew that they weren't going to technically be as productive. Like there was going to be less. Some stuff were going to drop, but for all intents and purposes, they still were grabbing transfers. They were still doing all the things they needed to do. It was the machine was still humming along. Um,
Yep.
and yeah, I mean, it fell into place, and that's I think the reason why we've all those nights we were up talking about these things and on the phone discussing this stuff. It was so we would have these systems in place when things like that happen, and it makes it easier. Can't scale without the systems. Can't
Yep.
scale without the systems,
And
and
and now you can't have any kind of constant without the systems with all the crazy changes coming up and stuff,
right.
or passing, or
And
coming up. Who knows?
but also
but but
those systems can't be complicated, right? It has to be basics, but basics
yeah.
that you can look to that provide that foundation. So, like, here's a real time example. I get a call when I was gone. I was gone last week when I went out to visit you, and so I'm in California, and I get a call at the end when I was driving home, and they said, "Oh, there was a big thing about somebody taking somebody else's lead." And I go, "Oh, okay. Well, how did it work?" And they ran through, and I said, "Well, it's so and so's. I mean, there's rules. We have a rule in place. It doesn't matter who closed it, right? Did anybody
Mm-hmm.
have it? Was it quoted hot or was it quoted? It was status quoted. That's it. It's anybody's. Right. So there's
Right.
no argument. Nobody can get upset. And the role will be flipped at some point. But at the end of the day, who cares? when this many leads are coming in to this many people setting up appointments, to this many people being able to be quoted every day, why does it even matter?
Right.
You know?
Well, it funny that you say the making things simple. It reminds me of that Leonardo da Vinci quote, simplicity
Ooh.
is the ultimate sophistication.
Mm,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's like that's
Yep.
what marketers and everything do, right? The more they simplify stuff and just make stuff easier, or at
Yeah.
least seem easier on us, we're like, okay, I got to get this. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be so much easier than whatever I have now
Right.
because it's
Yeah, you
simpler.
create some elaborate flow chart that
Yeah.
this, and then all of a sudden one
You don't
thing
do it.
changes, and yeah, you either don't do it or
Yeah.
one thing changes and the whole thing's busted. So
Yep.
keep it simple. KISS. Keep it
And
simple,
what we were
stupid.
talking about keeping
Wait.
the plates,
Yeah.
with all this stuff with family and everything else, it's like keep it simple, just be kind, be helpful to everybody,
Mm,
and I think that, it sounds hokey pokey, but everything works out, right? I mean, it
it
really
does.
does. Like helping others, other people help you back. It's like super simple.
Mm,
Guys, recharge over this weekend.
recharge. It's the weekend. Don't go in there and make dials.
Be good. Well,
Yeah.
or do if that's your process, but
Yeah, maybe.
just recharge. Give
Recharge.
give your family a hug.
Give them a little hugsy hugsy. That's all I got, Mr. Jason.
That's it.
And
All
it's a
right.
coffee talk.
It's a coffee talk. Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Good weekend to you.
Mr. Craig.
Oh, Mr. Jason. That's like the good old days.
The old Bell days.
Times were so much simpler back then.
And how many we've had over like 200 interviews,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Nuts. It is nuts.
So we put together a little webinar from all the things that we've learned, right?
Yeah, totally. I love it. It was a lot of fun doing it, putting it together, and there's some really good stuff in there.
Yes.
What did we
So
learn?
we learned how to sell hundreds of thousands of premium a month using any internet leads, and this is based on a whole bunch of big dudes selling ton of premium a month, like over
Yeah.
$1 million.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
it eliminates that turnover, right? The staff doesn't get burned out.
It does. It creates predictable sales. Like, whoa, right?
Well, and we also learned how we can copy the processes of the big, giant, fastest growing PNC carriers and the big local agents.
Yep.
That was a lot of
So
fun.
it was fun. We put it together. It's on a website. Go to love.teledudes.com. That's
That is-
LOVE.TELEDUDES.com.
How do you spell like that on the fly, Mr. Jason?
Well, it took me some practice, but it's love.teledudes.com.
You are good at that. So
that
let me
good?
get this straight. It's love, LOVE dot teledudes.com.
Love.teledudes.com. Ooh,
I love that.
I, I love it too. I surprised you too, Mr. Craig. You
You
didn't know.
tricked me. All right. Well, I'll see you later.
Okay.
Bye.